Welcome to the channel, guys. We're going to be installing a set of Fender flares on this 4th gen Ram. Now there's quite a few different styles you can get. What I have chosen to go with is your OEM style. These are kind of flat, so these are kind of replica of some of the OEM ones. On some of the Rams, they were installed from factory, so that's the style I have here. These are aftermarket, of course. They come in black. Usually you can get them in smooth or a textured finish. These were smooth, and I've had these painted to match the truck. This truck does have 2-inch wheel spacers, so the wheels do stick out a little bit, and I think with these flares it'll be perfect. Fender flares will come with a mounting kit in a bag. There's some double-sided tape for the outside edge here to attach to the fender. There will be some screws. Sometimes they're Phillips screws, sometimes they are hex 8mm. They can be 10. There will be some of these fender clips for the screws to go into. Now I got a couple different mix of kits in here. Yours may be a little different. They tend to change all the time. If you look at the inside of the fender flare itself, that's how this will be mounted to the fender. There's 7 holes, mounting holes, in these flares. The fender on the inside, there are some bolts in here already that hold the inner fender liner to the fender. And there are some other holes that are unused, kind of like this one here. There's a couple here and here. These are just tabs with holes in them. And your kit comes with these clips that will be used on these to attach our fender flares to the fender. So we'll go ahead and insert all of these. I need one here. I got one here and one here. We will be removing this bolt here, and this bolt here. Basically all of them that are holding the fender liner onto the fender. We'll go ahead and remove those. Those will go through our fender flares to hold those on all together. Our bolts removed, holding on to their inner fender liner. You don't need to remove any of these bolts that actually go into the bumper. We're only going up to here on the edge of the fender. Some of these kits will also come with these plastic push pins. Now these do make it easier to install. If you look at the center hole on our fender flare, we can take the fender just like this, and we can hang it off our mounting hole here, and then we can attach the rest of the screws. New fender flare in position. I was able to get all the original bolts in. These are 8mm. Some of those on the bottom end tends to be 10mm. But I was able to get them all in and tightened up, so our fender flare here is in place and done. Now we'll go ahead and repeat the same process for the rear fender flare here. We'll go ahead and first remove all the bolts that are originally there that are holding the inner fender liner all the way around. We're missing some like here or other holes that don't have anything in there. We will use those clips and the hardware that came with our kit, and we'll get this installed. Before you order your fender flares, you want to make sure you get the correct ones. As you can see how this one ends right under the headlight here. There are some that are longer. They go down to here. Those are mostly for your steel bumpers, so you want to make sure you get the ones for the plastic sport bumper like this style here. Here's a picture of one I mocked up earlier, and that's actually for a steel bumper. You can also obviously get the pocket style ones. There are some that end directly here with a notch right going that way, and that's up to you. If you want to do the pocket style with the rivets, you can do those. Once you have the fender flare in place and some of these bolts in by hand, you want to make sure your edges here on the fender line up in the front here and also the rear. There's a little notch in here, and there's a little notch in the body. Those need to line up for it to fit. It's not a big deal if you have to push it to line it up with the bolt holes, or in my case at the bottom one here, I ended up re-drilling a new hole right next to the original just to make it fit better. I was able to tuck it in further that way. That way there's no gap in the back here at all. I think it was fairly easy to do. I ended up not using the double stick tape on this edge to stick it to the fender. I think it'll be just fine without that. That way, if I ever need to remove these, or if I want to change them to black flares, I can easily do that without having to deal with the sticky tape on this end. I was able to repeat the same process on the driver's side. They came out great. Let's get this truck outside and take a final look. The color match flares, I think they turned out great. Looks beautiful. Twin spacers on the wheels and a little bit of a lift. I think it looks perfect how I wanted it. Thank you for watching.